It's Enphase Energy. They're gonna change the world and your life forever and probably make you rich too. Bold claim, but let me explain. Every single day, right when you wake up, what's the first thing you do? Maybe you go make your morning coffee, maybe see what you missed on social media, maybe you go brush your teeth, go to the gym, turn your alarm off and go back to sleep. Whatever that activity is, it all comes back to one thing, and that's energy. And to no surprise, the amount of energy that the world uses on a yearly basis has been growing exponentially. This is due to a lot of different factors like a growing population, technological innovation, bigger and better infrastructure, improved standards of living, blah blah blah. We could go on forever here. The point is, we need energy, and lots of it. As you may know, energy can come in many different forms and are generally categorized into two buckets. Think limited and unlimited. Obviously, to create a sustainable future, we need to generate energy from the unlimited bucket. So let's focus on solar. Enphase Energy manufactures microinverters, batteries, EV chargers, smart home systems, AI optimization softwares to take advantage of the sun. A flaming behemoth that hasn't missed a single day in over 4.6 billion years and will be around for the next billion, creating enough energy in 1 hour to power the lives of every human on Earth for a year. And keep in mind, only 0.000000005% or 5/10 billionths of the sun's energy reaches Earth's atmosphere, where another 3/10 of that is reflected back into space and not absorbed by Earth's surface. This is all to say the sun is powerful and just about as renewable as an energy source can get. What's the problem with non-renewable resources anyways? We always hear about why fossil fuels are so bad for the environment and climate change and this and that, but what's actually happening? Well, fossil fuels, namely coal, crude oil, and natural gas, are called fossil fuels because they were formed from the fossilized, buried remains of plants and animals that lived millions and millions of years ago. So at one point, coming from living things, fossil fuels have a very high carbon content. We can extract these resources from the ground, refine them, and burn them to produce heat, which can then spin a turbine, producing electricity. However, when these fuels are burned, they release a gas called carbon dioxide into the atmosphere along with a bunch of other harmful chemicals. You may ask, is it really that bad, and why is it so unsustainable? Well, would you believe me that if I told you today air quality has gotten so bad in some places that stepping outside and breathing in air is the equivalent of smoking 6 to 8 cigarettes per day? So I think we can all agree that it's not exactly good for the body over the long term. There are also other effects of fossil fuels like increased chances of acid rain, trapping excess heat in the atmosphere, therefore raising global temperatures, but we won't get into any of that. Just know it's bad. So where does Enphase step in? I've barely talked about them. Well, they are here to change all of that bad stuff we just talked about. But not only that, they have differentiated themselves from the rest of the competition. They don't do what everybody else does for a good reason. In fact, they have created a whole new business model for the solar industry. Here's a list of the top 10 solar companies in the world ranked by revenue. And by looking at this list, I'm sure you would expect Jinko Solar, leading every other solar company by tens of billions of dollars in revenue, would also be the most valuable company. In other words, the highest market cap. They are selling the most stuff, so surely this is the case. Well, no, actually it's not even close. Actually, today, Enphase is worth about 18 billion or 11 times what Jinko is worth. Investors are willing to pay a much higher premium for a stake in Enphase over Jinko, even though Jinko sells about $30 billion more of stuff than Enphase does. How does that make any sense? It sounds to me like a bunch of people are just being fools with their money. Well, no. Here's why. The stock market, being a vehicle of behavior ultimately driven by human psychology, attempts to price companies far into the future. So small companies that have the potential to grow really fast may be worth more than companies that are far bigger than them. Look at Enphase versus Jinko. Jinko is already selling on a large scale, but their growth potential is fairly minimal. Enphase is small, but growing their product line and expanding their business all over the world. There's a lot of complexities that go into this dynamic, so let's oversimplify it and just look at the net profit margin, or what the companies actually earn from the stuff that they sell. Jinko sold $30.7 billion worth of stuff in the last 3 months, while Enphase sold a modest $711 million. Jinko took home just 4.3% of what they sold, whereas Enphase took home over 22%. This is an enormous difference and really shows the competitive advantage that Enphase has in the solar space. If Enphase is able to maintain these healthy margins while expanding to other areas of the world and manufacture their products on a mass scale, they will certainly be the most valuable solar solution on the planet. And that's happening right now. So let's investigate what Enphase is doing differently than everybody else. Enphase is really in the software-driven home energy solution space, utilizing artificial intelligence and Internet of Things technologies to make your electricity bill cheaper. This software-driven space is very different from the traditional solar business model, where you sell a solar system, manufacture and install the solar panels on the rooftop, and monitor energy consumption and production. This is what it looks like. The solar panel captures light through a photovoltaic cell, simply put, a device that converts sunlight directly into electricity. The electricity is then converted by a string inverter into an AC current and sent to your home, basically just making the energy usable for your household appliances. Now let's look at how Enphase is doing it. Enphase's Ensemble is their complete solar system. On a high level, the same concept as before. The sunlight is captured by the solar panel and converted by the microinverter for use within your home. But there's a catch. String inverters will cap the electricity production of each panel by the lowest producing panel of the string. In other words, your system is only as strong as the weakest link. Your microinverter takes full advantage of the production of each individual solar panel and sends it to your home, EV, or storage. Not only is the capturing of energy more efficient, but each of these microinverters is hooked up to Enphase's IQ system controller, the brains of the operation. It automatically detects grid outages and seamlessly transitions to backup power. When bad things happen, Enphase automatically fixes it. Using AI and IoT tech, think brains and communication between the technology, the system automatically determines the best times to use energy, store energy, and send power back to the grid to reap the highest reward. When you send power back to the grid, you receive credits from power suppliers, ultimately reducing your electricity bill at the end of the month. This process all happens in real time on an app for you to see and monitor at your own leisure. Also, a new feature that Enphase is working out with electric vehicle manufacturers is bi-directional EV charging. Normally, the EV will be charging when the home is generating power. However, when the grid goes down during a storm, let's say, the house is then able to pull electricity from the EV just like it would from a battery, making for yet another ad hoc backup storage solution. And like we mentioned, this capability is bi-directional. When other people need power in your neighborhood in times of high energy demand, you can send power straight back to the grid from your EV battery. These technologies make up the complete Enphase Ensemble system, taking efficiency to a whole new level. The system is customizable and modular, so you can pick and choose the assets you want in your home system. But this isn't even the stuff that separates Enphase from its competitors. Here's where we really see the golden Enphase business model shine. They don't manufacture, install, or sell their own product. All of the most expensive things you can do in a business that sells physical products. Manufacturing is outsourced to contracted factories across the US, installation is performed by businesses in the Enphase installer network, and their products and systems are sold and marketed by consulting and sales teams of the installers. Alright, I hope I didn't lose you here. Let's simplify this. 1. Manufacturing is outsourced to factories that can do it cheaper than Enphase can. Pretty typical for companies that are looking to mass produce their products. Look at Apple, IBM, Nike, Walmart. All of these are examples of companies reaping massive manufacturing discounts by outsourcing overseas. Enphase is still contracting within the US, but that may change in the future as expansion increases. 2 and 3 work together. Installation is performed by businesses in the Enphase installer network. It's important to realize that making solar panels is expensive, and that's why Enphase just decided to never do it in the first place. Although there are companies that produce higher quality and more efficient solar panels than others, this sector is becoming more and more commoditized over time. Long word, yes, but simple. Who's selling the cheapest product? Commoditized equals whoever sells the solar panels with the lowest price tag will most likely sell the most solar panels. Think about it like going to the gas station. Generally speaking, you're going to fill up your tank at the cheapest gas station you can find. And while yes, there may be slight differences in the quality of the oil between gas stations, it's not noticeable, nor is it significant enough to influence your decision. All it comes down to for you is which one's cheaper. Now going back to solar panels, why is this bad? Well, as a product becomes commoditized like oil is today, maintaining healthy profit margins is extremely difficult. You are now competing to sell the cheapest system rather than the highest quality. And well, if you're looking for high growth companies, this is the ultimate death to growth. Being a high growth company requires you to have pricing power, the ability to price your products at virtually whatever you want. We see this dynamic with Nvidia today, right? As AI takes over the main stage, software companies like Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta are hungry and desperate to get their hands on the latest Nvidia chips because the quality and capabilities of their tech is so incredibly ahead of the competition, they can price their chips at virtually whatever they want. And if you're interested, I go into this incredible dynamic in more detail here. They price their chips at $40,000 to $50,000 a pop. Pricing power takes your company to the next level, and that's exactly what Enphase is showing us today. Instead of manufacturing their own solar panels and putting together their own installer teams, Enphase simply says, why not just use businesses that are already in that incredibly competitive space competing for scraps of profit? And so the Enphase installer network was created. Think about this, it's just a software that connects a homeowner, someone like you looking to buy an Enphase solar system, and an installation expert. It's a timeless business model that proves to be the most profitable in a capitalistic environment. Think about Uber or Airbnb. They don't own anything. All they do is connect you to someone who is willing to drive you around or rent you a home for a week. The money they make can then be invested into the most important things when it comes to business growth. Marketing and advertising. They just don't have to worry about any other cost. In Enphase's case, they say, why own the solar panels, the manufacturing facilities, the installer and maintenance teams when we can just have them do it for us? They'll make a little bit of money making and installing our products, and we make tons of money because we just removed all the most expensive parts of our entire process. It's truly genius, and this model is repeatable in all industries. The Enphase installer network is a 3-tiered system that ranks the quality of installer teams, sorts them by price and reputation, and allows you to meet and consult with experts before making your decision to buy. Enphase makes these installers feel special, right? Like they're part of a community that's bigger than themselves. They are literally just selling, marketing, maintaining, and installing Enphase's products for them. It's truly incredible. Their products are so high quality and yield such great results for their customers that other businesses are willing to install them for Enphase just for the sake of improving their own reputation. And this dynamic is what ultimately drives Enphase's insanely high profit margins. Keep in mind, this is all while Enphase is expanding their product line to international markets and working out mass manufacturing efficiency. This margin is still in its early stages and will only become stronger with time. And hence, Enphase will grow at a faster rate than anybody else in the business, and frankly, it won't even be close. It's very comparable to Tesla in the EV space. Everyone is always complaining about how overvalued Tesla is, and they're just a car company. How could they be worth more than all of these combined, and blah, 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 blah. The point is, Tesla is much more than that. They've created such a vast competitive moat around their products and softwares that they're just too far ahead of the rest. And don't forget that the transition to cleaner, greener energy is accelerating year after year. Let's use solar panels as an example. The first stage of a mass transition like fossil fuels to solar, or any large-scale technological disruption for that matter, begins with establishing infrastructure. The infrastructure for mass production has been ironed out, and you can see that reflected in the price. In 1975, the first solar panels cost about $115 per watt, compared to today's price of just 27 cents. This is a 99.8% decline in prices. Again, this is why you don't want to be a solar panel manufacturer. And this massive decline is in large thanks to more advanced technology and scalability becoming more affordable. Also, resources are becoming cheaper to extract and are being extracted on a much larger scale. Once you reach those affordable prices, next stage comes acceptance and adoption, which is clearly growing year after year. And finally comes awareness and policy shift, which is happening right now. For example, the Inflation Reduction Act calls for $370 billion set aside for renewable power and climate change programs in the United States. What this actually looks like on your electricity bill is a 30% tax rebate on the total cost of a solar installation, $1,200 off annually for any clean energy upgrades, and $2,000 off for any full home improvements. Enphase benefits massively from this policy. This allows them to invest heavily in manufacturing their product line on a mass scale. As a domestic leader in clean energy solutions, the government is right by their side in making sure that mass production is affordable, giving them, I'd say, a pretty unfair advantage. Now, don't get me wrong, there are risks. Because solar systems are still relatively expensive, many people take out loans to pay for them over time instead of coughing up all the cash up front. And with interest rates at multi-year highs, loans are very expensive, making the solar systems even more expensive than in past years. Also, as we talked about with the commoditization of solar panels, there is a risk that microinverter technology could see a similar dynamic in the future, ultimately reducing margins and taking away Enphase's crown. But for now, it seems to be mostly sunshine and butterflies for the solar provider. Expansion to international markets is happening, it seems like, every day. It's worth noting I didn't even go over Enphase's robust balance sheet valuation or financial health in this video, so maybe that's for next time. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!